from the 7th of the 2nd month of 1443. 5 and Queen of Presents reversed with 21, the world in between. Oppression stifles us, but you may not always be so limited in your expression. Visions beyond ethnicity open ways to even further realization and actualization. Situations with family are not all in your say, but how you feel and act continues to be relevant to religion. And what are your initial impressions about
well,
cards?
looking at the cards there, there were some things come to me. The 21, the world, the card with the trees. I noticed right off that there's no leaves on the trees, and for me, that's the third time that something has come to me about trees with no leaves. You know, there's a bright background there, but the trees look so lonely and sad. You know, there's no leaves. They're not.
Well, Halloween stuff's going away, and then it freezes over for Christmas. The pumpkins get covered and all that stuff, because that's what you got in the movie, right?
Mhm.
He's got the spiral. So, you know, basically, obviously, common Christian holidays, you don't see them all, or maybe you never see. I think you have like a whole. I think you see some others when they go around in the circle.
Uh-huh.
They should have depicted them really, but you know, Christmas instead of Yule, Halloween instead of Samhain, Valentine's Day. Oh, the order's kind of weird. Valentine's Day instead of Emilk,
Hmm.
Easter instead of Ostara, and then you'd have Beltane. Well, I mean, then you'd have Lammas instead of Lunasa. Before Halloween, you'd have Mabon or Harvest Home instead of oh, I forget what Christian holiday they put around there. Instead of Litha, you'd have St. John's Day, and you'd have Walpurgisnacht instead of Beltane, and that's that sort of stuff. But you know, I don't know what else they would depict there. Probably put like 4th of July or
Yeah.
you know, something. Because Halloween and you know, Christmas should be between Halloween and Valentine's Day, right?
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be an Easter egg, but
That
it's kind of like the sky. The sky is trying to get you to say
like, hey, look at me or
something's
look up.
coming to an end. So he
Hmm.
goes out in the world because there's something beyond his system, and he wants to find out about it. But things are being wrapped up, you know, hence all the stuff falling around. Um,
Yeah.
but it's the beginning of something new. The world card doesn't mean there's like, oh no, everything's over, work is done,
Right.
and there's nothing left to do ever. Kind of like the Buddha
Yeah.
tarot. I think I've done a series
Continuing.
on the Buddha tarot, and the Buddha tarot has this extra card for the, you know, because you have the enlightenment and then you go back. There's more work to be done in life. You continue living.
Right.
But
And
visions beyond ethnicity open ways to even further realization and actualization. Because you know, you believe stuff, and then you have faith, and then you have knowledge, and you work out more and more knowledge. And so you pick up a book, and not everything can be realized or acted out by a person, but you kind of have these sets of ideas of stuff that you consider okay and not okay and all that sort of stuff. And that's what I mean by religion. I don't mean that you know, you submit to some sort of political structure
mhm.
necessarily. I
Right.
mean that you have principles that, you know, you're regulated by a relationship that involves the seen and unseen. So the spiritual realms. And obviously holidays, the idea of holidays is this is spiritual realms personified, right? Um, And the presents was an interesting thing in the movie because the presents come to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oppression stifles us, but you may not always be so limited in your expression. And well, that was the thing. They knew how things were for Halloween, but for Christmas. And they used to tell all those stories, whether Halloween or Christmas or the holidays that were around those times that they competed with. They told them all those kids, oh, if you're a bad boy, Tom Thumb is going to come and with the tin snips and cut off your thumbs. And they told all the, you know, and that wasn't the only one. So they came up with all these gory things to scare kids into behaving.
Boogeyman, yeah. Boogeyman's gonna get you.
Or they'd circumcise you at an age where you'd remember it. And then they'd bring out the scissors to try to get you to behave, implying that they're going to do it again.
Oh wow.
Because
be horrible.
You know, they found out that the 8th day of life was the day you're most likely to survive it, the best day to heal from it. But they never found any real medical reason for anybody except out of so many thousands of people have a medical condition. So some of the baby girls and baby boys need it, but that's like a couple per town or something. It's not everybody.
Right.
Yeah,
it's strange how they do it too.
And they came up with these stories. I mean, this doesn't really have anything to do with anything of any of the cards, I don't think. But
right.
But well, I guess it does because the card's supposed to think of everything. But they would the mythology. There are two sources in the mythology. Do you know the two types of myths that tend to dominate the whole concept of circumcision? The two main types of myths are they tell like in North Africa, you know, the various tribal religions that have left some remnant. They've all basically had this idea that you had the male and the female parts, or they had this idea that I mean around the world there's a lot of that going on. It wasn't just the Jews, the Dogon. It was always associated with either that somehow you're going to be cleaner if you trim your private parts. I don't know. Things are going to be even worse if you're not clean. Thank you very much. If you remove parts of your immune system, most of the immune system resides in the those anyways. But they'd say the male and the female parts. So you're more masculine or you're more feminine if they do some elective surgery down there. It's like
that's crazy, ain't it?
And they find that people barely behave. If there's any difference in behavior, if it's mostly it's either not associated at all with the surgeries, because people are going to go after that stuff even if it hurts, or it is associated with the religion, the religious teachings. You find a group that they believe in chastity or whatever, of course you're going to have less diseases, because even if a lot of them violate those terms, they're going to. But anyways, what's the last one? Situations with family. So obviously you got a mother cooking there. Don't know what she's cooking, but I do my seasonal ceremonies, I do plan to have food and drink for them when I do them. Are not all in your say, but how you feel and act continues to be relevant to religion. And say so. There's a channel left-handed kitchen magic. I guess it's not called that anymore. But it gets at a concept. You know, you're cooking. If you cook or eat or whatever, it has symbolism to it and you can use that.
Yeah.
So how you act towards your family, that's definitely part of some of this stuff going on here. And you said you got some cards, so I'm going to give you a chance to get those out if you want, and I'll tell you the calendar cards if that's what you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've got these thoughts. Aleister Crowley's thoughts.
That's one of the few decks that I have decided myself that I'm going to paint I painted a version of that, a simplified version of that I painted and gave to my relatives, my Christian relatives. So I had to give them. I had to focus. Okay, which card am I going to tell them more about what it means? Oh, the 9 and the 10 of discs. Think of it as like tithing. So the 9 of disc is your, first of all, it's like the diamonds in the playing suit, but it's like you've paid your tithing, and it's the wealth that's yours, clear and free from any tax and all that stuff.
Right.
So that's why that number has to think what it is.
Alrighty. Yeah, you said there were
Because
calendar.
people get kind of iffy, even though the tarot was the earliest full deck of the tarot was in a church in France.
Oh wow,
You look at the artwork, the Marseille deck. That's actually the Marseille deck. That's actually based on church art.
Wow, I've just heard about that deck.
And there was a book, I think it was from the 60s or 70s or something. I saw it in a public library, and I want to, it may cost hundreds of dollars to get the book. So I may have no chance at it really, unless it happens to be one of those Egyptian books that I might inherit. Because somebody told me that I might inherit some Egyptian books at some point.
Awesome.
So I'm going to have books to share the rest of my life for the channels. Just share one a year and share some other stuff, right? But the because some of it's old enough that I can point my camera and not even have to read it.
Wow. Yeah, I find
the
old writings fascinating.
What's it? There was this book where the whole tarot deck was like, it was in. They showed how the ancient Egyptians had all the themes of the tarot. They didn't have it all in one place. If it's like, oh, here are the stages of life, and here are your 22 stages of life. They basically combined the Kabbalah and the Mamluk cards and made the tarot deck. That's why how tarot deck appeared. It wasn't the ancient Egyptians started it or whatever. But the Thoth deck, it's called the Thoth deck because there was that idea that Jahote, which is the DJ HUTY, that's but yeah, the who and its authority, but Thoth, you don't pronounce it as Thoth in ancient Egyptian, it's Tahote,
Tahote.
I did a video on Thoth, the alt-right bird, I think.
Pronunciation.
He's also the you can say he's the deity of well, I mean, the people who worship the things is different. It's like it's the god of alternative healthcare. Because Thoth's entity, the enema entity.
Wow, well that's neat.
But okay, you're ready for me to say which cards?
Yeah.
By the way, we anybody noticing we were recording on Halloween? I don't remember which day of December I had planned to have this go up, but so we are in the Hermit. The Hermit is one of the month cards. And if you find the Prince of Wands while you're at it, it's.
Sunlight. Okay. Yeah, about the Hermit, and is it the Knight of Wands? Or the Prince of Wands. I'm sorry.
I think it's called the Prince in that deck. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I've got the wrong one. Wrong card.
Well, because you think of that, you have Page, Knight, Queen, King, but in that deck, the kings are the knights.
Mm-hmm. Prince of Wands. Okay. Alrighty.
And you got the 5 of Wands. Is that a cat?
Yes,
Okay.
that's Sid the Siamese. He just sat down on half of my cards.
Because I didn't notice. Only saw part of the animal.
Yeah, yeah, he is he's a very good boy sometimes. Mhm. Okay, a 5 of Wands. It'll be the one on the very bottom, probably.
And we still have the Ace and the Princess of Cups. And since it's Monday, it's the High Priestess as the Moon card.
Mhm.
Because isn't in that system Mercury is I mean Moon is the high as the letter G.
Yeah. Let's see. Sid, will you move, please?
The High Priestess, like the golden like the Rider-Waite Smith deck, it's too Christendom for me.
Right.
Because well the early tarot decks, I mean obviously it was made during in Christendom, so but I prefer a deck that's like I like how the pips have started to do something other than just be piles of swords and stuff. Because a lot of the decks, like they're just piles of swords and stuff. There's no meaning to their organization. You just remember the number you're going off of.
See. Hmm.
But it's you know the G in the Kabbalah in the chart that Thelema uses, you're going from the head down to the pelvis. So you're crossing the abyss, which is the center of the chest. So therefore you have the esoteric and the exoteric, but you have the ethnic. I guess some of what you see on that card can represent the ethnic, but you know, it has that geometry stuff. Crowley's deck has pretty cool that throws in that geometry based use of symbolism that a lot of decks don't use. I have a geometry deck. I have a geometry oracle deck, but that geometry oracle deck is not, it doesn't do anything except just have the geometry. Oh, here's a shape and here's a meaning that people put to that shape.
Right. Right.
The human canon. So you know the human, everything else is not really a picture of anything.
Right.
But that it's like a hieroglyph too, so it's not like you're, you know,
Okay. And did you say the Prince of Wands? Let's see,
yeah,
I've got.
the prince, the five.
Okay, I got the 5 of Wands,
Yeah,
the
the prince
Hermit.
and the 5 of Wands.
Okay. Prince of Wands, Hermit, the 5 of Wands, and okay, and the Prince. That's the last one.
We still got the hangman. The hangman, yeah. So 7 cards all.
Alrighty.
So for the season, we have the ace and the princess of cups, the hanged man. For the month, we got the Prince of Wands and the Hermit. For the third of the month, we have the 5 of Wands. And for the day, we have the High Priestess. So 5 of Wands is strife, right?
Yes.
And so often you get the
Yellow.
these, but see, it's more like that's what the word jihad really means. It's strife or struggle. So you're doing something even though it's difficult.
That's
You're,
got
you're not,
like little snake kids up there at the top. I noticed that 2 little snake kids.
yeah, so things are going different ways. It's not, you know, but you're mastering this dualistic power, and you're going forward. It's not this holy war thing. The Islamic literature actually doesn't have anything about holy war. Like, you will convert to my religion or you'll die. The Bible says that those who do not make Jesus Lord, bring them here and kill them. It says that, but you don't have that. But that's the real meaning of, well, I mean, there's things implied with that card. But that's the real meaning. Jihad, it only means you're doing something even though it's difficult.
Right.
And fee is, and what fee sabil is what cause you're doing it. And it's not just, killing in the name of, because a lot of people, that was the thing. The Crusades, people killed in the name of. It wasn't, there wasn't, it wasn't so much about what was behind the whole thing. As long as you were killing in the name of it was okay. Which is not how things work in terms of how they function in the real world or otherwise. Now we aren't doing too many a day, but that we did a couple. And what else is there?
Kind of like in this card, you can tell like if you yourself or is represented there in the front, you're standing there, and it's kind of like the struggles.
Well, look at how that all those charts about the 3 sides and all that stuff. So you're the positive and negative and the neutral kind of working between the two, the 3-headed goddess and the yoga channels, So you're working the dual channels with the center. Because I've shared about the Yoga Sutras, and I've talked about some of the Upanishads. Well, not everything's gone public, but yeah. And of course, I'm shooting my Upanishad stuff in the forest because they're forest teachings. So you got to do some of the videos in the forest.
Yeah, there you go.
Me standing over a turtle, instructing yoga. No, I don't think I've found any turtles since I've been doing that series. But
turtles are so fascinating. It's like they carry their home with them.
And the Ace of Cups, as much as it's like everything to do with water.
Yeah.
The Ace of Cups is it's like your brain. It's like the rest of your body leading up to your brain, particularly your brain stem leading up towards your brain. And some of the stuff sometimes you have stuff that's like crude representations of like what can be done with the brain. Like somebody was showing me that the Baphomet drawing is based on a section, is based on connecting like cross sections. You can show on cross sections of the brain the Baphomet thing. And so a lot of those old images aren't just they're drawing what they think a god looks like. They're drawing what here's this function. And sometimes they talk about it like this is really the function of the brain that does this. I thought you had all 5 cards, but
I didn't too.
Well, whichever one you have, I can start saying something about that one.
I'm sorry. Let's see. You say the princess. Okay,
Princess and the Ace of Cups are the Cups cards that we got.
Yeah, here she is. She got put on the bottom. I don't know how she wound up there. Thank you to Sid the cat.
That's kind of the weird thing. She's kind of pale and all that stuff, and she's got like, was she a geisha or something?
She's like got a seashell in her hand, like either she's offering someone a part of the world, or maybe
Well,
her
that's what the turtle is. The turtle in some mythologies like bears the world or brings forth the first land when it digs up, when it comes forth out of the water, or with its pile of mud on its back or something from the winter.
There's a fish in her.
Now, if I get a picture of that, I'm definitely going to get a picture of that. If I some turtle with caked on with dirt clods on itself coming out of its hole for winter. But
Yeah.
it's the playful sort of emotional sort of, but it's not a
Yeah.
developed thing like you see with the queen, where the queen's like separate
Yeah.
from her emotions. She's the master of her emotions. She's reflective with her emotions. So the emotions become like a total tool or something like that. Um, and not in a disrespectful way to any of them. Like you give people nicknames, it's like there's a good and bad thing about any card. So,
Okay.
um, you know,
Right.
you give somebody a tarot card nickname, it's not necessarily you're insulting them. You're saying I'm an alcoholic because I'm this card. No,
Right.
no, you're an alcoholic. There's, I was thinking of other things, but um, the
Right.
the and so what's
Let's see. I've got here's a hermit.
the hanged man. Oh, the hermit's like is one of our 7 cards. So the hermit there,
Those.
you have some ideas of fertility.
Right.
Oh, born in Bethlehem. That thing born in Bethlehem could literally be saying was born when Virgo was the sunrise constellation.
Yeah.
So that would have been September or August in the age. That would have been September in the age of Pisces.
Um,
So a couple thousand years ago, instead of Leo being the September, it meant that the August 4th to September 11th possible birth date for the whole Jesus thing. That's what they could have been saying. Not that he was born in one of the 3 Bethlehem cities, or they could have been saying that, but they could have also been making the point, because the Bible has a lot of astrological stuff, and people because they think it's like fortune telling, playing games with people, that they just really don't get that of what's
right.
going on there. But it's,
Right.
you got some information being shared with there. And you have also, you got this inner light. So you're surrounded, you're engulfed in the world, but it's about the inner, what you've brought into yourself.
Mhm.
So,
There is where you can see
the insider, like it said on the Day of Judgment, some verses that I found that I related to that card were talking about how after it's all said and done, people are going to be like, hey, how about sharing some of your light with us? And it's like, but we're on the inside. You had your chance. Well, I mean, the implication is, hey, in life, you had your chance. Because this idea that you just delay things and delay things and delay things, you're responsible for all your decisions now. It's not
Mhm.
that, and honestly, the idea that people, some people say things are getting so bad because of reincarnation, because people figure you don't have to get things done in don't have to do a good job in one lifetime. You can do a good job next lifetime, and so
Wow.
they live their life. And
I
so
can see
what?
people would think that nowadays.
Um, well, I mean, but that's the thing they don't get.
Right.
The cultures
I
that
agree.
teach reincarnation. You know what happens before you go to hell too. In a different way. You go to hell, and then you come back until you finally get it right. But you go to hell each time.
Wow.
So you're still getting torn apart by wild beast, or you reincarnate in a way that punishes you. So it's the same thing. If you're reincarnated in a way that punishes you, and you go through a hellish life where you're just forced, you like to wander around naked, so you end up being a tree.
Wow.
You know, uh, 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 you know. Uh, I mean,
Wow.
if you're now they consider that okay, like yoga, If you're going to do all this posing and all this other stuff, there's 2 rules in basic yoga: either be totally modest, I mean
Mhm.
completely modest, not just or you do this privately.
Huh.
So there's no blame for that. There's no blame for married couples or what people, if you wander around your house naked, it's the fault of the person who looks in your window, not you, even if you live on Main Street. Um, but
Right.
but if you live on Main Street, you should probably close the blinds before you. Um,
Exactly.
but that
Yeah.
but so yeah, there's the homunculus. I think there's a thing that they had that idea. Magically, the homunculus, that thing works. You can create golems and tulpas and all sorts of things, although they're similar terms, but they're not exactly the same. Jungian psychology is very interesting when you go through that. Is Jungian psychology says, yes, you go through all these archetypes of the things, but realize they're not quite the same. But the first thing you do is kind of realize that there's this overlap between cultures in almost everything, but there's some specific details that vary. And if you study religion, you're going to find that out too, is that on almost everything they agree, but then, but then you can't go around being like these people, like every group's equally right and equally good. And that doesn't work with anything else. So don't,
Right.
But certainly you use one language's term or another language's term. It's, and when you realize that you can do stuff, you can operate mythologies without necessarily treating everything you come across as a book listed as a god, and, Pokemon, collect them all. I can be the master, I can be the god of my world and command all these things, and these things are going to treat me as a god if I just call up this in this way. And so they go through, I try to implement mythology, but I don't do either of those approaches. Thank you very much. But
Right.
what else do we got here?
The hangman.
Oh, the hangman. We haven't gone to the hangman's supposed to have like the Enochian tablet or the water tablet at the very least, because the hangman's like personified.
Yeah, he's
like all those savior stories where the guy goes willingly. That's almost entirely every single savior death related story, whether it's Cuchulainn or whether it's Jesus or whether it's Adonis or hundreds of others. Almost everything you ever encounter is going to have, they knew what was going to happen and they went willingly. They knew that this battle they were going to die in. They knew that they were going to get picked up and crucified. Most of them are crucified, by the way.
He's got
particularly if they're a solar entity.
Yeah.
But you have the onks. Don't you have the onks there?
The onks.
The onks on the card. So you have whatever's implied with the Enochian tablet of water, but you have the onks, and the onks is, so it's in life. It's a life-affirming sacrifice. It's like when you fast and all that stuff, but you're not fasting to kill yourself or hurt yourself. You're fasting to experience the fast, and then you're going back to normal. Like you don't go 3 days without food or water or whatever and just do it to, no, you can, that can actually kill you. But if you know what you're doing with some of the stuff and you're, there's some levels of extremes that you can physically pull off. But the hangman, Odin hanging from the tree and seeing the runes and
stakes through his hand.
And the symbolic placement, see, the through the hands is not the same thing as they're being crucified by the Romans. The Romans would hang you up in a way that you'd not fall, that it wouldn't tear through your limbs and whatever. So they'd use your wrist as a catch.
Yeah.
So there's symbolism in the whole being pierced through the palm thing.
Right.
It's not literally the case, and people don't get that. If it was true, if Christianity was more like a mystery school, then, and there are mystery schools that are sort of Christian mystery schools, but they're like, they don't take the Jesus as God. If we're not gods, then Jesus isn't God, sort of thing is their approach. And yeah, obviously my favorite card is depicted in the meme.
And the one on the
it's Christmas time, like the Wicked Witch of the West and Santa Claus at the same time. It's something. They're already advertising serial killers Santa Claus movies.
Oh boy!
Well, they got. I mean, they got a new one this year. I mean,
last year, I thought I saw a strange type of Santa Claus ad, but I better not speak of what it was.
Yeah, then there's the perverted. Then there's the perverted stuff too. You walk by the wrong part of town, and it's like they do pornography of what?
Yeah, it's unlike anything I remember as a child. But hey, it's 2020. It's
But
such a
they've
funny
got
thing.
yeah, what was I was saying? Okay, so what other cards we have? We have the princess and the ace of wands. We haven't shown the ace of wands. There might be something I'm not saying something, or something that you would think of.
Ace of Wands.
We have a few minutes for this
Okay.
shuts off, but I'm gonna go.
Ace of Wands. I will find it. I thought I had it out. Queen of Wands. No, that was the wrong card.
Oh, we haven't seen the prince. We haven't seen the prince of wands either.
This is it looks like a very powerful card here.
I mean the ace of cups. Did I say ace of wands? The cup. So it's the princess and the ace of cups. So we've seen the princess of cups.
Let's see. And which one is it now? I got the Prince of Wands. Was that one of them?
Okay, we haven't seen we haven't seen the high priestess. We haven't seen the princess. I mean, we haven't seen the ace of cups.
Oh, okay. Ace of Cups.
Ace of cups or high priestess, whichever one.
Oh, it's very beautiful card.
Yeah, this is the depth and fountainhead of experience. This is like you got those. We now know there's 50 opioids. By opioids, I mean chemicals that your body uses instead of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, one of the most helpful ones from marijuana actually resides in apple juice. It resides in pears and stuff like this. Anandamide might or something like that. But anyway, so all those chemicals running through your brain, but you're using them for, you're directing them with your consciousness and whatever. Because if you're just meditating until you trip out too, if you just let things wander, whatever troubles you ever had, they're going to creep in and, you want to be in control of it. Hence Crowley calling it phlegma, your will. So we had the.
Did you say a hierophant?
Prince, the prince of wands is the prince card.
Okay. Prince of Wands.
So I don't really remember what happened with the prince. The princess, I've done a video that I'm releasing in a week here. Well, 6 days. But November 6th is when I released it. For those who are watching this video when it comes up.
Yeah, I found the Princess of Wands. Oh yeah, cool.
Because she's all moving through the fire and all that stuff. So we're looking at a red and orange sort of card. I was looking for the video where they spoofed EA Quetting, and they were like, here's the Queen of Wands. And they were talking about how goofy they thought that the rituals that he was selling were.